Opposition leader Peter Dutton is accusing Prime Minister Anthony Albanese of treating voters like mugs, warning his refusal to be more specific on the Voice will doom it to failure. Joining me live is Zali Steggall, Independent MP for Warringah. Zali, thanks for joining us. Peter Dutton wants more detail on the Indigenous Voice to Parliament. Do you agree with Peter Dutton?
No, I don't. I think we need to remember what the referendum seeks to do. It seeks to ask a question in principle of whether we should have Indigenous recognition in our Constitution and that voice to Parliament. Remembering that our Constitution is a document of principles. It doesn't actually have a lot of detail. The detail is worked out by Parliament and by governments and then by case law and precedent through the courts as different things get tested. So I am satisfied that it's a question of principle that we need to put to the Australian people in the referendum.
And Zali, you have reintroduced your Stop the Lies bill to Parliament and are urging the government to support this bill, including before the Voice campaign kicks off.
Absolutely. I think we know that misinformation and disinformation erodes trust in election outcomes and referendums. So I think it's really important that we have a respectful but a fact-based debate around the Voice. I think it will be very important to have, for example, forums within communities so people can really discuss their opinions, but advertising should be legislated that it cannot be misleading or deceptive. We accept that that's necessary in business and commerce to protect consumers. I think we should protect voters in the same way.
Can you bring us up to speed and remind us, Zali, of the political advertising and the laws that are currently in place?
Well, currently, on a federal level, there is very little laws around political advertising. It's simply that you can't mislead a voter in how to fill out their ballot paper. There is nothing around misinformation and disinformation. Now, when it comes to consumer laws, we protect consumers around business, around sales of goods and sales of services, that you can't mislead somebody. So it's really applying that same principle that you can't make a statement of fact in advertising that is misleading or deceptive. Now, for people who worry about this being, against freedom of speech, this is not to say people can't express opinions, but you can't express a statement of fact, especially if you're sort of attributing it to someone else, unless if it's misleading and deceptive.
All right, well, the New South Wales state election is on March 25 and a number of Teal independents are running for the seats. How are they looking going into this election?
Look, it's really interesting. I think the state government and state elections are very different to federal elections, different rules, but we're definitely seeing communities that are very engaged. Here in Manly, we have Jolene Hackman, who is really going from strengths to strengths. She's opened up her office down on the corner of Raglan Street in Manly. So basically, communities can go and really check it out. They can really see what else is on offer, and it forces everyone to lift their game. So I think this is really good for democracy to have more choice for voters to have more choice.
And how much of an effect will spending caps have on the outcome, do you think?
I think that is definitely, it favours the incumbents because the incumbents do have the higher profile and they have the benefit, especially if you're a Liberal incumbent, you have the benefit of a state government that is Liberal and statewide advertising. So I think that does make a difference. But what we've seen about community independence is it comes down to the community. It comes down to the volunteers on the ground, people wearing the T-shirt when they're shopping and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, it's up to communities will decide if they're happy with their representatives or if they want change. And we're seeing, obviously, Northern Beaches, there's a lot of change afoot. We're all the way up to, further up Avalon, we've got a retiring member. So you have a new field of play, if I could say, and Jackie Scrooby is incredible. So there's a lot of choice for voters, I think.
And finally, on a personal note, every time I speak to you, you're doing a marathon here, there and everywhere. What are you up to at the moment?
Look, I have had a pre-Christmas. I did fulfil a dream of doing the inaugural ultra at Kosciuszko, 100 kilometres. It was tough, but very good. Incredibly, though, we had a blizzard 10 days before Christmas. So the weather was all over the place, but a lot of fun.
Well, you're very inspiring. Yeah, 100 kilometres, my goodness. All right, well, thank you very much as always. We'll talk to you again soon. Zali Steggall, Independent MP for Warringah.
Thank you. Happy New Year.